Picture this. You applied to a local office job in hopes of starting your very first career. You have sent in your resume over email and have been selected to have an interview to decide whether or not you make the selection. You wake up bright and early, around 7 a.m., in hopes to make it on time. And after navigating through the early streets of your local town, you finally make it. About 15 minutes before your interview is scheduled, you walk into a tall office building and make your way through the lobby, in which you encounter a guard by the front desk who tells you your interview is on the 13th floor. You make your way up the elevator, and while you make your way up, you make sure to pop in a quick mint to make a good impression. On your way up the office building, going through floors 1 to 6, listening to the sounds of beep at every floor, the elevator simply goes dark. No lights, no beeping, no feeling of movement. You're simply left alone with your thoughts. After some time pressing the emergency button, you start to wonder if help is ever going to make its way towards you. And just as you're starting to feel a little nervous, the elevator seems to fix itself, seemingly as if nothing had even happened in the first place. You arrive at your destination, floor 13. That's strange, you think to yourself. How is it even possible to have jumped from floor 6 to 13 without any power or movement? But you think nothing of it. As the door of the elevator slide open, you take your first step into the office complex and realize that something isn't right. An annoying hum coming from the lights above you begins to ring through your head, and you start to wonder if you're even on the right floor. The walls simply look too aged, the carpet moist and wet as if something had been spilt on the ground recently. Most importantly, where's all the furniture? You continue to go deeper into the office complex, and that's when things start to get weird. It seems like you've been walking for almost 5 minutes, and the office just simply keeps going and going. No amount of time strolling through the maze-like office seems to be getting you anywhere. Out of frustration and nerves, you head back the way you came from, hoping to catch the elevator and interrogate the security guard on what kind of tricks he's playing on you. You make your way through the plain yellowish walls, with the same old humming ringing through your ears. Just as you reach your starting point, a panic sets in. The elevator is missing. There is no exit? How could this be? It was just here a few moments ago. How could it simply disappear? You begin to wonder if it's all real, or if you're dreaming. Maybe even one of those stupid pranks you'd catch on TV. After an hour of waiting, you hear sounds of something making its way towards you. Sounds that don't even seem human. Reality kicks in, and you realize what you've just entered isn't what you signed up for. This, ladies and gentlemen, is known as the Backrooms. The Backrooms is an urban legend originating from a 4chan post uploaded around 2019. There is an uncertain, undying eeriness and feeling of isolation given after reading the tale, which I would assume is provided due to its empty atmosphere and a strange feeling of deja vu, as many of the levels within the Backrooms appear to be familiar and seeming like something many of us seen growing up. There have been hundreds of levels created within the Backrooms realm, and many of them being pretty interesting. In this video, I hope to go over those many levels and inform any unfortunate soul who encounters this horrific hell-like reality. You never know. Maybe this video could prepare you and save your life in the case of you ever finding your way into this horrific mess. The Backrooms is a story unlike any other, and honestly has really interesting origins compared to many other stories. The Backrooms originally started as a compilation of images that were posted on 4chan's paranormal themed board. An anonymous individual asked users to upload disquieting images that are simply just off. That's when this image was uploaded. A slightly dimmed room, walls covered in yellow blank wallpaper, a moist carpet, and a strong feeling of isolation, most likely supported due to the fact that there is no furniture or doors included in the image. I'd honestly have to say, this is probably the most iconic image in that thread. Not to mention, an interesting reply that not only describes the image, but also creates the origins of our beloved Backrooms. The reply itself reading, "If you're not careful, and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the Backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of an old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you." Interesting how the reply never really details what roams in the backrooms alongside you, and lets you use your imagination to assume what kind of monstrosities are able to lurk in the horrific hellish maze. After this post grew in popularity, a fandom began to develop, which not only brought us level 1 of the backrooms, which was an interesting industrial style room, but also level 2, being a long dark service tunnel, the unsettling empty office space being labeled as level 0. Thanks to its incredibly quick popularity, came many games and fan-made videos created to simply shed more light on the beloved backrooms. The most renowned case being a YouTube video posted by a YouTuber by the name of Kane Pixels. The video contains a supposedly lost tape that was retrieved after a young filmmaker was no-clipped into the backrooms and traverses himself through each level, many of them looking fairly realistic, and the VHS style of the video really add an unsettling factor which in my opinion only makes the video so much better. The video is pretty good and very enjoyable to watch if you're a fan of the backrooms. I'll leave a link in the description referring to Kane's channel if you'd like to watch all the videos yourself and witness the horrors of the backrooms. Yellow walls, moist carpet, the humming of crappy industrial ceiling lights are all things you can encounter on level 0 of the backrooms. Level 0 is probably the most renowned level of the backrooms and seems to be somewhat of a hub, as everyone who enters the backrooms is mainly dropped off at level 0 and must traverse their way through to find the next levels. Level 0 can seem very intimidating, considering it's somewhat of a maze that goes on almost forever. It is unknown how, but who are we to question the supernatural abilities of the backrooms? The level was described as empty, and known to smell fairly gross due to the moist carpet. But to say level 0 is completely empty would simply be not true, as you can honestly find many things on level 0. If you traverse long enough, you might get lucky to stumble upon some food or office desks with some goodies in them, which honestly makes me wonder if someone is placing those things in there as some sick and twisted experiment, in which you're the mouse trying to find your way out, and they're the researcher trying to help you last as long as possible. It's uncertain that everyone is capable of stumbling upon this, but sources do claim that sometimes an individual who finds themselves lurking in the backrooms is able to find the phone on top of some office desks. But not a cell phone, more like one of those landline office phones receptionists usually use. The phones apparently do work, but many of the calls received are automated robocalls, like the ones that constantly spam your mobile phone. Now, before you think level 0 is a piece of cake, and finding the exit can only happen in a matter of time, you should remember that the backrooms are still inhabited by monstrosities that are still foreign to many of our own reality. So far, there have been 2 confirmed creatures who roam level 0, and both being incredibly aggressive to any unwanted visitors. The first creature we'll talk about in this video is known as the Hounds. Hounds are humanoid entities with black hair on their heads and large mouths filled with sharp teeth. They have long bony limbs, sharp claws, and have eyes that are fully white, lacking irises or pupils, and walk on all 4s like a dog, hence their name. They are some of the more common hostile entities found in the levels of the backrooms, but are less common in the deeper levels. They are extremely dangerous and become agitated when they see someone in a hostile state, but can be intimidated. Avoid hounds at all costs, even if you encounter one to be in its neutral state. The second creature that you're most likely to encounter on level 0 of the backrooms is known as the Bacteria. Bacteria is a creature, or possibly group of creatures, that inhabit the backrooms and prey on its victims that have found themselves in their presence. They're extremely hostile towards humans, and are described to be tall black figures similar to Siren Head, who roam the empty halls of the backrooms. Now, to find yourself an exit out of level 0, you must traverse the yellow steel walls up until you find a hole in the wall, with a ladder leading up to it. Once you climb that ladder and enter the hole, you immediately enter what is called the habitable zone, which is known as level 1 of the backrooms. Level 1 appears to be an industrial style type of floor, similar to a parking garage, or those rooms that you find if you stroll a little too far into the maintenance rooms of a big mall. It's fairly unnerving, as this can feel very real, almost as if you've already made it out, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Level 1 consists of crates and supplies that appear and disappear randomly within the level. often containing a mixture of vital items: food, almond water, batteries, tarps, weaponry, clothing, medical supplies. The crates should be approached with caution due to their contents, but are a valuable resource. The light fixtures within level 1 are prone to flicker and fail at inconsistent intervals. When this occurs, supplies are liable to vanish, and hostile entities may appear unexpectedly. These entities rarely attack in groups, and tend to avoid light and large gatherings of people. Surprisingly, many individuals have found themselves in level 1, and many colonies of survivors have grouped up to fight against the evils lurking in the backrooms. There are currently 8 known colonies and outposts in level 1. It should be noted that attempting to meet up with these colonies will prove extremely difficult as the backrooms stretch out for millions of miles. Many creatures roam level 1 and are extremely hostile. Surprisingly, the hounds from level 0 are capable of finding their way into level 1. Other creatures who roam level 1 are known as the facelings. Facelings are a species of humanoid beings that roam the backrooms. These creatures are reminiscent of human beings, however, they harbor many unsettling and unorthodox features. Most explorers insist that they will look human enough from afar. Closing the distance will reveal an uncanny and sometimes horrifying presentation of these beings, with their most notable feature being the lack of facial features. Facelings have incredibly sporadic behavior, and 25% of them will usually attack humans with no cause, but the majority of them will simply ignore you and tend to their own matters. Another creature that you can encounter in level 1 of the backrooms is known as the skin stealers. Skin stealers are large humanoid entities that can wear the skin of their victims as a disguise. They eat human flesh when in a hunger state, and otherwise roam if they do not need to eat. Their blood is translucent, and they can mimic human speech. They are mostly found on the first 4 levels, but have been reported in other levels. They have impressive physical abilities that seem to compensate them for their poor intelligence. Skin stealers are typically docile creatures that will wander if they do not need to feed. In this stage, they will not be hostile unless you aggravate them. In a hunger state, they will seek out humans wandering alone and will use their strength to tear them apart with their hands, which to me sounds incredibly painful. Now, the last entity you can encounter in level 1 are known as the Scratchers. Scratchers are unpredictable entities that reside within indoor spaces of the various levels of the backrooms. However, it appears that they have developed an adaptation and preference towards level 1 and 2. It is best to avoid them at all times, regardless of what their state is, due to their unpredictable behavior, as they can have murderous tendencies, like so many other entities. You should not underestimate them for their physical appearance, as they can overpower almost any wanderer that dares to slay it. They are tall and slender, bipedal entities, typically wandering around with hunched backs. Their limbs are disfigured, sometimes dislocated, creating loud cracking and popping noises when they are in their most active state. Despite no visible eyes, they appear to be very much aware of their surroundings, perhaps through feeling with their long claws and blurred vision through unknown means. If you magically make your way through level 1 unharmed, whether it's alone or with your clan that you formed within this horrific reality, then you might stumble across an unlocked door that leads you to level 2 of the backrooms. Level 2 is probably the most unnerving level of the backrooms, and truly gives me the creeps, especially since my real job consists of going through areas that look very similar to level 2. Level 2 consists of long, dim maintenance hallways, with steam pipes lining the walls and ceilings. Doors are rarely found. The pipes cause the heat in level 2 to reach immense temperatures, reportedly reaching around 200 Fahrenheit and higher. The cracks in the stone surfaces, and the pipes being rusted from what appears to be decades of neglect. Occasionally, doors can lead to small rooms that may contain machinery that is connected to the pipes present throughout the level. Random items that were left by other explorers can be found in the metal shelves, providing resources for wanderers. Level 2 is far more dangerous than level 1, due to the hazards mentioned above, and the sheer number of entities inhabiting the level. If you come into contact with a creature in this level, it is advised that you should run immediately, as they are incredibly hostile and will kill off most victims. Even those who escape may suffer serious wounds, usually hindering their ability to progress forward. The entities found within level 2 are pretty much the same as level 1, that being facelings, hounds, and scratchers, but there is one addition to this horrific roster, that being entities known as the smilers. Smilers are genuinely hostile, and there have been many confirmed sightings of them. They can be identified by their signature reflective eyes and teeth gleaming in the dark. The best way to escape a smiler is to keep eye contact. Smilers are described to have long smiles with multiple sharp teeth and have white glowing eyes. It is unknown what else it has for its biology, though it is rumored to have a physical body which cannot be seen with the human eye. The smilers are incredibly scary, and being forced to keep eye contact with them to escape is really terrifying. But that's realistically all you have to worry about in level 2. Level 2 is extremely difficult, considering you can't really run anywhere except straight or backwards if you encounter anything. So if you magically find an exit, in which there are 2 different ways of escaping level 2, then you should really consider yourself lucky. The first way of exiting is finding an office-like elevator, which takes you to level 4, skipping level 3. Or if you find a fire escape that takes you to the next level, known as the electrical station, also known as level 3. But that will be a story told in the future. The Backrooms are truly an interesting tale, and it's pretty amazing how people can still make these stories in our day and age. Creativity truly has no limits. I would really love to thank all of you for your support I've been receiving, and don't be afraid to comment your thoughts, and leave a like or subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I would love to make another section on the Backrooms, and hopefully we'll see one in the future. This was NightFuel, and I hope you have a good evening, and good night.